Every morning I talk, how high can I go? Rolling up with the thing.
It's been a couple of days since K-Dot released his Not Like Us video, and Drake is still not breathing. Kendrick Lamar is very analytical and proved over and over how war ready he truly is. He feeds social media's fix of having a ton of hidden messages and codes to decipher throughout his career. So it only made sense that he would do the same for arguably one of the best diss tracks of all time, Not Like Us. In the opening scene, Kendrick knocks on the door. And he doesn't just do any type of knock. He does one of the most famous knocks called shaving a haircut 2 bits. So of course I Googled it, and you won't be surprised what came up because it blew my mind, and I don't know exactly what he's trying to get at, but so the tune for shaving a haircut 2 bits originated in 1899 from Charles Hale's minstrel song At a Darktown Cakewalk. This particular knock or jingle was most often used at the end of a piece of music for comic effect. But that's not where it stops at. What is a Darktown Cakewalk? When you go look up the word Darktown, Darktown was an African-American neighborhood in Atlanta, Georgia. Darktown was characterized in the 1930s as a hellhole of squalor, degradation, sickness, crime, and misery. The term Darktown was also used generically in Atlanta and the rest of the South to refer to African-American districts. And what's really crazy about all this is because in that very room that he goes into after he does this jingle is where he brings up,
"You caught Future when you didn't see the club. Hey, what, little baby, help you get your lingo up."
Basically doubling down on how Drake is a culture vulture, a colonizer, and how he stole a lot from the Atlanta scene.
"You run to Atlanta when you need a few dollars. No, you're not a colleague, you a fucking colonizer."
Shaving a haircut 2 bits jingle is probably the creepiest, eeriest thing that I've learned today doing research on this whole Not Like Us video, because I had no idea that that tune was even derived from dark humor, from being racist. Like, who would have thought that? We've all done that knock as kids or heard it in cartoons, and I also got the vibe that this was like a crazy house. I mean, the door itself with the little window, when he opens the little window and all you see is Tommy the Clown's eyes, it looks kind of creepy. And then he asks what's the password, and he says, "I see dead people."
What's the password?
"I see dead people."
Yeah, that sounds like an insane asylum. He goes in there, and if you notice, his hands are always in the sides of his jacket as if he was in a straitjacket. So again, I did my research. In the 1960s, mental asylums in the South would take advantage of the vulnerable and would admit black people to gain control. Jim Crow laws would enforce black people into mental asylums as they were able to use as a new slavery method. This was about getting access to free black labor. The black patients endured abuse, neglect, violence, and forced labor, which took place in the states such as Mississippi, Alabama, and you guessed it, Georgia. This was an obvious jab at Drake for taking advantage of black artists as a cheat code. He jumps from hood to hood and steals their wave, especially Atlanta artists. Also, Drake's infamous blackface picture. Such a disgrace to say the least. Nothing funny about this. And what he doesn't realize is that whoever talked him into doing this felt like he dominated Drake. This is their form of buck breaking. No black American would even think to belittle themselves like Drake did in this picture. He clearly is unaware of the meaning and how he was being put through a humiliation ritual. In this same pic, he is also wearing, you guessed it again, a Jim Crow shirt. So when it comes to the mental asylum theme that he got going on in this video, it's all tied to one word, and that is Jim Crow. Jim Crow was taking advantage of black people as mental patients in the asylums in the Georgia state. Drake was taking advantage of black artists in Georgia state. The name Jim, Drake is known as Wheelchair Jimmy. His character name was Jimmy in Degrassi. And again, in the blackface picture, he has the Jim Crow shirt on. Man, K-Dot is literally on this man's neck about not being black enough. I don't know about y'all, but that's eerie. That gave me the chills. And I'm kind of annoyed because I'm just like, I wonder what else is in this video that I couldn't figure out. If something as small and minuscule as a jingle can mean that much, what the hell else is in this video? This scene looks identical to the scene from Family Matters music video, which a Dark Lane's demo tape Drake is being yeeted away by Kendrick's aura, and a guy wearing a City of Compton hat dancing next to Kendrick represents Compton having his back. This next scene has so many Easter eggs, it's insane. Some would say it's a reach, but I think K-Dot is a wicked genius. In the scene where Kendrick is doing push-ups, he has a picture in the background that's off the wall, referencing the diss track that Drake said,
I know my picture on the wall when y'all cook up.
Why in the hell would I have your picture on my wall, Drake? That shit can't even get hung up. It's on the ground. It is off the wall. Off the wall is also a statement we say when you talking crazy. No one really says that anymore, but for K-Dot and Drake's age group, that's an old term. You off the wall with this one, or you going off the wall, which means you're talking crazy or being a weirdo. Also, Drake referred to himself as Michael Jackson.
One away from Michael, nigga, beat it, nigga, beat it.
And K-Dot called himself Prince. Prince and Michael Jackson have known to be rivals and feud back in their prime. K-Dot took shots at Drake being MJ by saying,
Nigga, Prince outlived Mike Jack, nigga, boom!
Which implies that MJ is Drake, who is the fan favorite and sells. But Kendrick being Prince was the underdog, who was just as talented, wasn't as popular, but Prince wasn't the guy that wanted to be popular. He was more low-key. So the off-the-wall picture is in reference to Michael Jackson's Off the Wall album. In the same scene, K-Dot is doing push-ups, trolling Drake when Drake said,
Top say drop, you better drop and give him 50.
asking K-Dot to hurry and drop his disses,
Drop.
but also implied that Kendrick dropped and gave 50% to Top Dog when he was under contract. But what's funny about this scene is Kendrick ironically stops his push-ups at 17, one away from 18. If that ain't diabolical, I don't know what is. We all know Drake like them underage, man. And in the same clip, Kendrick starts to dance just like Drake, where Drake did this dance with, you guessed it, A minor. Kendrick had a date on his jacket, 8/8/2024. Is that when his album drops? Is that also a shout out to Kobe for his jersey numbers? So I did some digging and found something even more deeper and somewhat chilling. The 8th of August, American independence is celebrated on the 4th of July, but many African American communities in Western Kentucky also commemorate another day of freedom. The 8th of August is both an emancipation celebration and a homecoming. It's been a tradition since the 1860s. It's chilling because he continues to call out Drake's blackness, but also him not being an American. We all know Drake cosplays to be that black American gangster. Kendrick is continuing his trend to drop things on historical black days. Ken and Friends on Juneteenth, Not Like Us on July 4th, and whatever he has planned that's gonna supposedly come out August 8th, 2024. All those dates have something in common: independence. Whether it's black independence or American independence. Something that Drake has no idea what it is to be like a black man or even a black American. And also the word independent is very important to a rapper in the industry. And I think that's a jab to Drake in his lifetime deal with Lucian Grange. Drake sold his soul. Universal owns him for life. I think the most obvious and most trolling scene is Kendrick playing hopscotch to the part when he says a minor. Man, you already know what that's about. A little girl's kids game. Then we head over to the shipping containers, the eeriest scene of them all. We all know that human trafficking is widely known to use shipping containers to transfer victims overseas. Kendrick is doubling down on the rumor that Drake is into trafficking. What about the scene of Kendrick staring at the owl and putting him in the cage? It had a dark tone of different symbolisms. One, he put Drake in his place. Drake being an alleged PDF, he's locking him up where he belongs. Sit that ass down on timeout, bro. Number two, Maya Angelou's I Know Why a Caged Bird Sings. All Drake is good at is singing to females. He's not a real rapper, especially since people write his bars for him. And also insinuating that he's a snitch, doubling down on Drake having paperwork when he was robbed. Also, Drake is labeled as a snitch for all the alleged cease and desist letters he sent to Kendrick, Metro, and French Montana. That's something that even Rick Ross called him out on. I think the most insane part of the video is Whitney dancing in a wife beater, also known as a white beater, but we all call it in the hood wife beater. Drake flat out lied and said that K-Dot beats his wife and they aren't happily together, with his kid being Dave Freeze. Man, that kid has them damn Kendrick ears. Look at them ears. Those ain't Kendrick ears? Stop it, Drake. Stop it. I think that shit was the funniest part. They're dancing happily together, just proving that Drake's a pathological liar.
Hypocritical to have your biracial wife in a music video with you, but in that same song, you're talking down about people being biracial or being half black or etc.
I actually want to touch on this because it's getting out of hand and how dense a lot of people are. Kendrick isn't saying Drake isn't black enough because he's biracial. His kids and fiance are also biracial. Come on, bro. He wouldn't be talking about his own kids and his wife. He's saying Drake lacks culture. He's a Jewish kid born and raised in the suburbs of Canada, a child star who lived a great life with no real life lessons.
This is our dining room, and here's my mother. Now we're gonna check out my space. And through here, this is my living room. I like a chilling vibe, that's my favorite thing. And then through here, this is my comfort area. As you can see, I recently did laundry. This is actually a very nice couch.
Drake identifies as Jewish.
You don't understand how big you're about to be in the Jew world right now.
You don't understand how big it is. First of all, I live in an all-Jewish area, so
Where is that?
Forest Hill.
Okay.
I went to a predominantly Jewish school growing up. I definitely had a bar mitzvah in an Italian restaurant, mind you.
My lord.
Yeah.
A nice Italian restaurant?
A very nice Italian restaurant. The song of the night was Backstreet Boys' I Want It That Way.
You are younger than me.
Yeah.
I forget about that.
Yeah, man, I was in there. I was in synagogue. I had my yarmulke on.
Hebrew school, the whole nine? You did? No,
See, I didn't. I cheated. I didn't really.
So you just did that? No. Your parents are nice.
Yeah.
So they let you do the bar mitzvah without having to do the fucking Hebrew school.
Mm-hmm.
So your mom's Jewish.
My mother's Jewish, and you know we have great Jewish dinners like Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur.
First text message you ever sent me. Good Shabbos.
Yep, good Shabbos.
He kept it real.
Yep.
Have you gotten approached yet by like the Jewish media yet?
No, I haven't got approached by the Jewish media, but somebody today, who I won't mention, was like, you know how big you're gonna be? And I was like,
wait, was that me 5 minutes ago? I remember saying that.
Somebody's like, you know how big you're gonna be? And he's like, this has never happened before. It's like every Jew is going to.
His black father wasn't in his life, which is why Pusha T said this bar to get under Drake's skin.
Your father walked away at 5, hell of a dad thing. Marriage is something that Sandy never had, Drake. How you a winner, but she keep coming in last place. Monkey suit Dennis, you parade him. A Steve Harvey suit, nigga made him. Confused, always felt you weren't black enough. Afraid to grow it cause your fro wouldn't nap enough.
Drake didn't do what the average black American would do and hold their father accountable for not being present, but basically bought his love once he got money. Drake is so damn out of touch with his blackness, he even said nigga with the hard R.
It just sort of, it bugged me, man. It bugged me because it was like somebody I looked up to at one point. It was somebody that I was like, I used to see out and be like, yo, that's that nigger, you know what I'm saying? He's doing his thing, he open for be like, yo, that's that nigger.
Not realizing he was saying it wrong because I'm pretty sure his white friends or family said these things around him. And he didn't realize the pain behind that word because he's not a black American, he's a Canadian. Canadians don't fight for black rights and don't teach about black slavery. He doesn't have the slightest clue of what black Americans went through and still go through, which is why he thought it was okay to mock slavery with this line here.
Always rapping like you about to get the slaves freed.
So this has nothing to do with skin complexion or him being mixed. As brilliant as K-Dot is and all the Easter eggs everyone tries and finds, it's almost like no one tried to understand this at all. You would think people would dig up the reasons why Kendrick called out his blackness, just like the average in denial white person who acts like they're pro-black. They hang with the black people and listen and dress like our culture, but then will say a backhand comment about slavery or stereotypical comments when they're angry during a dispute. That's exactly what Drake did when he brought up slavery, using that bar to mock Kendrick as if slavery is something to joke about. A very white thing to do. To have your Jewish white mom open the track to Family Matters saying this,
maybe in this song you shouldn't start by saying,
and Drake saying nigga right after,
Nigga, I said it, I know that you mad.
and Drake saying nigga right after it for his mom rhyme is very telling on which side Drake is for real on. Drake doesn't have black values. He vultures on black culture. He gatekeeps his black peers, which is all colonizer traits. Drake is more white culturally and soulfully than he is black. And unfortunately, this is always going to be a touchy subject, an uncomfortable subject. If you're white and really don't have a racist soul in your body, then you wouldn't take this shit personally. You would understand that there is racial issues, and you should know these topics aren't about you specifically. This is about the ones that are blatantly racist and also the ones that are in denial racist. And not to get into a whole nother topic, but for the dense people, let me help you understand how this is something not to play about. People think it's funny and say, oh, get over it, and say, oh, why are you still angry? That's old. Let me give you some food for thought. In 1964, civil rights was passed and gave black Americans their human rights. Donald Trump would have been 18 years old. Joe Biden would have been 22 years old. And Reverend Jesse Jackson, the man who marched next to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for our rights, he's still alive to this day. So what does this mean? All the people who tormented and harassed black Americans during these movements are still alive. They have stories that they tell their own grandchildren. The old people you see walking around when you grocery shop, when you go to the mall, when you go to the movies, just every day outside, old people, these are the people who either said no colors allowed, or they were the other ones that were fighting for our rights. So stop acting like this is something that happened so long ago, when the people who did horrible things are still alive today. So yes, that's why Kendrick called out Drake's blackness. A black person understands these things. A white person doesn't. And he wasn't raised black. He was raised by a white family. And if K-Dot were to talk about the Holocaust in the same humor as Drake, he would have been shunned and held accountable. Everyone would have spiraled out of control. Black, white, it don't matter what race you were. For some reason, the Holocaust is more touchy to the American people, to the whole world even, than black issues. And that's a problem. It's crazy how the double standards work against black people. But yeah, so far, that's all the Easter eggs I caught in the video. If you guys got more Easter eggs to point out, go ahead and let me know. I mean, I've seen some Easter eggs too, where it was DJ Mustard was wearing the Blue Jays hat, which is a Canadian baseball team, but that ain't no Easter egg. I mean, that was obviously, we could tell what that was. But if y'all caught anything that I didn't, put it in the comments. Let's read what you seen. This video, hands down, is video of the year, song of the year. This literally is going to go down in the history books. This is top 5 easily best diss record of all time. And it might be a stretch, but I'm calling it best. I'm calling it top 3 best disses of all time, only because of the impact that it created and because of the context behind the whole diss song. All those other diss songs are usually because two people were beefing and they want to fight each other. This started as a friendly competition, but once Drake took it to a racial situation, talking about slavery, taking it personal, talking about family, then the context with him coming out as a gatekeeper, sending cease and desist letters, and even possibly being a PDF, it turns into a whole different situation.